if you're looking for a long-term idea, I can't think of many better than Nvidia right now. So long-term investor, I talk about how I'm worried there's a double top. It's not going to close at a new high. But long-term, you buy it, you put it away, you don't look at it. My 401k, I look at 2 times a year. I don't want to look at it. And this is when you know things are euphoric. When you start looking at that 401k, more often than you don't, oh, wait, this is getting too good. We're near a top. And that despair, when you think it's the end of the world, that's when you buy. I'll never forget the financial crisis. I sold stock, as it was happening. I liquidated. I was nervous. I was still mostly in stock. I mostly rode it the way down. But I was able to raise cash. And there was a day where it was the end of the world. This is it. Right. I think we traded 666 in the S&P 500. That March
that's
9th,
exactly right.
That Haynes bottom. As we were approaching that, I didn't call the bottom. I didn't get there. But I was putting money into the kids' 529 plans. I said, basically, if this is the end of the world, if you think the world is coming to an end, you know what? My money won't matter. It's an old Art Cashin expression. He talks about the Cuban Missile Crisis. He goes back a little farther than we do, obviously. But he was a young clerk, and there were rumors that there were missiles from Cuba coming to the United States, and he got sell orders, and someone stopped him. He goes, no, kid, you buy when the missiles are in the air, because if it hits, if it destroys us, what's it matter? So long term, those are opportunities. But short term, to get back to your point, you want to set up, because I don't know who's listening. I don't know what their time frame is. I don't know what your audience's time frame is. And guess what? You have 100 different listeners. You probably have 100 different time frames. You have to make the trade your own and do it. And I tell this story all the time. I don't know if you have time to get into it, but my son, a 14-year-old at the time, he's now 19, he's in college, and he's into finance. He was sitting around Thanksgiving, and he said, Dad, I want to buy a stock. I'm like, oh, this is great. My son likes what I'm doing. He bought Tesla. So those that know me know this story. Those that don't, you're going to be entertained. Those that do, you can fast forward through this. But he bought 1 share of Tesla, and it changed. It was the perfect example of someone going from euphoria to despair. And I got to chronicle the whole thing. I blogged about it. I live tweeted it as it was happening. He bought it on a day of a secondary. It opened down 70 points. He bought it like 730, 1 share. And the goal was you keep the profits, and we'll talk about your losses, because he didn't think he could lose money, because that's how kids thought. Right. It opened at 730, closed at 800 the day he bought it. He was up $70. He started getting giddy. Hey, I'm the stock man now. You know nothing, old man. So I'm like, you know what? Screw you. I can say that on this show. I'm going to embarrass you. I'm going to make an example. Let's follow this Tesla kid in this story. And this was December, November, before COVID, and it ran up. The stock went to 1,200. I go, Kevin, what is your game plan now? What are you going to do? You're up $500 in this stock. Sell it right now. I'm giving you a check for $500. Not even going to explain taxes to you. I'll take the hit there. Right. And he's like, no. I go, what is your goal? Basic 101. You bought a stock. What is your goal? He goes, it's going to 100,000. That's when, I threw my hat in the air. And I'm like, all right, you're on your own here, kid. Good luck. I hope you're right. I think Kathy Wood may have been calling for it at the time, so who knows? And then all of a sudden COVID happened, and it started reversing. And his euphoric tweets got less and less. And then all of a sudden, it's now under 1,000. His profit is less than $200. He's like, I go, what do you want to do? He goes, I don't know. What should I do? Whoa. This was your trade. You own the trade. I can give you advice. And I didn't even give him advice on this one. I advised maybe you sell. What do you do? And all of a sudden, he went from euphoria to despair. He sold out for a $20 gain. And it was a good sale, because COVID hit on March 18th, 2020. That was the low. And here's the part of the story that I still don't, live down to this day. And in fact, if he's listening to this, he's probably yelling at me through the podcast, through YouTube, saying, on March 18th, I'm on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange. I'm in the middle of COVID. I'm getting my butt kicked. Everything's selling off. That was the day where hell was coming. If you remember Ackman going on CNBC in the middle of the day, we had a limit down during the middle of the day. Right. Our limit up, limit down, circuit breakers that paused the market, a 7% decline in the S&P 500. They happened 4 times. 3 were right after the opening. We knew we were going to be down 7%. All right. 1 happened in the middle of the day. That was Ackman Day. That was March 18th. And Kevin, during that day, he texted me in the middle of class in high school, it's time to get back in. God bless that kid, but man, did he irk me because I'm too big. I'm like, I don't have time for this. He goes, not only can we get back in, it's trading at 380, we can buy 5 shares. The kid was on to something. I threw the phone on my terminal. I can't be on the phone while I'm trading on the New York Stock Exchange anyway. And I didn't buy the stock. The kid missed the low by $5, nailed it within an hour, and it proceeded to go through the roof. It had a stock split since, and those 5 shares would have been, well, yeah, he would have made something like $5,000. I don't want to know. He'll remind me later, but it was a perfect example of somebody not being able to make the trade their own, living through a high, living through a low, and then turning to somebody like, some people they'll blame it Jim Cramer. Oh, you got me into this trade and now I'm losing money. All right, well, let's revisit it. What happened during that trade? Now, I try to step by step saying this is your risk, this is your reward. What is your goal? Make the trade your own. But everyone has different time frames. Kevin time frame was it's going to 100,000. Now I want to get out. And shame on me. I didn't buy him 5 shares when it was under $400, and we missed that boat, and I'll never live it down. But
how dare you work for a living?
Yeah, I know, right? I mean, I had a crowd. There was actually during COVID, we had pockets of crowds. There are humans down there. They are important. And I didn't step up like the kid said, and he was the stock man again. But the journey chronicling somebody's euphoria to despair was real life. It was right out of Jesse Livermore. It was unbelievable to live it, to be part of that. And then that story, believe it or not, it inspired me because I do a lot of financial literacy. I talk to students. I give a lot of tours of the exchange to educational groups. It helped me pivot in this career because friends of mine like a Josh Brown, like a Ramp Capital, they followed that and they told me it was good. And I blogged a little bit more. I got to write. And then eventually when my time came as a market maker to pivot away, I joined the retail side and I monitored risk on a trading desk. I talked to clients. And now I talk about the market. And as you can tell, hopefully it comes through in these podcasts. I have a passion for this. Absolutely. And I love hearing people's stories. I love telling stories. And when I can educate people or listen to a sad bar story over a beer about, oh my God, I had this stock, I gave it away. Or you know what? I have Nvidia and I bought it and I never looked back. Here's a funny story for you. In 2019, my father, he heard me talk on, somewhere about how I liked the Nvidia. And, he put $3,000 into it in 2019. About a few months ago, he calls me up, Jay, it's having a stock split. What's this 10-for-1 stock split mean? I'm like, oh my God, you still have this stock? Right. Never sold it. I go, you had a 4-for-1 before this 10-for-1. And I think I walked you through that. I forgot about this. Did you ever sell? I sold the initial $3,000 worth like you told me to, but I'm holding on to the rest. Well, he has something like 800 shares. I don't even know. But he's one of those people, you hear the story that you bought a stock, you put it away, and it's paying big dividends. So, those things are great. But I never had the fortuitous to hold on to a stock, put it away, except if it's in my 401k. And that I try to take a basket. I try to be safer about it. I do miss trading day by day, but in this role, I look for opportunities. I like to share those with people. Yes, occasionally I will buy and sell stocks, but I have rules where I have to hold it. And yes, it's frustrating. So I focus on looking at stocks and talking the market and let other people trade. And I promise you, when I retire from this job, I will hopefully sit somewhere comfortable, some nice setting, nice background, maybe outside with a pond and a fish tank in front of me. Like I know Justin has one. I just heard this in the break, just to talk about the crowd and, trade on my own and get back to what I love more than anything, which is trading. But right now, talking about the market, trying to drop knowledge using experience that I have. And guess what? I'm always learning.